So this is the outcome of our 6 pieces flared blouse. You know, I just draped it on the mannequin so that you can see what it looks like. You see how it looks? It's actually very beautiful. I just love how it looks. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be showing you guys how I achieved this. And this video was actually done some time ago, but there was issues with the audio quality. So I promised I was going to repeat it. But this time around, I used a different technique altogether. Okay, so I've repeated it, and we have the back also as well, the cutting of the back. And it promises to be very, very, interesting. I also want to say, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button, like and share this video, because a lot of people might find it educative. You know, you can share with your family, share with your friends, share with your loved ones. If you're ready, let's begin. Let's go into it. So for the 6 pieces flared blouse, you need your bust measurement. So your bust measurement is the measurements you're going to use to determine the quantity of fabric that you need. And the bust measurement I'm using for this particular blouse is 42 inches. So I'm just going to double the measurement. I'll be using a total of 84 inches. So I just want to double mine. You can make yours even more, or you can make it a little bit less, but I think doubling the measurement, or when you make it with double the size of your bust, is perfect. So next I'm going to fold the fabric into 2, and I'm just going to leave some inches out for the zipper allowance at the back. So it means that I'm going to fold into 2, but I'm not going to fold it equal. The other side will be a little bit more, because that's the back. So I'm going to be leaving about 2 inches extra for the back because of the zipper. I'm just going to cut it out. Blouse. So I'm going to keep the back, the fabric I've cut out for the back, and we're going to start with the front. So I've also folded the front. I've also folded the fabric I have for the front. I folded it into 2. So it means that I'm going to be working with a quarter of the body measurements. First of all, I've just measured the length. The length is actually 25, and I've added 2 inches extra for the hemming. So I'm measuring 27 right now, all through. I'm just going to connect the lines, and I'm going to cut it out. I'm using this method to make it easier for you to understand. So I'm going to set the remaining fabric aside. We're going to be using that for the sleeve. So I'm going to be using the bust separation measurement for this particular person. It's 8 inches. So I've added ½ inch for seam allowance. Now, because it's a flare, and I told you that that I want to double the measurement, I'm going to be marking actually 8½ inch. So the 4 inches is the bust to bust measurement or the bust separation measurement, but I've added another 4 inches because of the flare that we have in the front, and I've added ½ inch seam allowance as well. I'm going to connect the dots and I'm going to cut that out. So that's the center front that I'm cutting out now. I'm going to set the rest aside. So I've marked my 4½ inches. So I'm going to just use my ruler to connect it. Next, I'm going to measure the bust point measurement. So the bust point measurement is 12 inches. I'm going to add ½ inch seam allowance. And the under bust measurement is about 15 inches. I'm going to make it 15.5 or thereabout. So I'm going to draw a straight line. Now I'm going to come in from the under bust by 1½ inches. I'm going to come in by 1½ inches. Then I'm going to connect it to the bust point from the under bust. Now from the shoulder line, I'm also going to come in by 1½ inches. And I'm going to connect it to the bust point as well. So I just connected it to the bust point. Next, from the under bust, I'm going to draw a straight line to the hem, like so. Now I'm just going to give it a slight curve, just, Okay. So I'm going to cut it out. Okay. Look at what we have here. This is the center front. So I'm going to place the center front this way on the remaining fabric. So now we've taken out 4 inches for the center or for the bust separation measurement. What's going to be left would be about 6½ inches. So I'm just going to measure 6½ inches from the bust there and add 2 inches extra for seam allowance. You can add more allowance if you want. Also, I'm going to do the same thing for the waist. The waist measurement is actually 37 inches and we divided it by 4 and got 9½ Subtract what you have on the waist already. After removing 1½ inches from the 4 inches that we have, whatever is remaining is what we're going to mark on the other side of the fabric. Next, I'm going to measure the armhole on the other side, and I'm using 8 inches for this particular armhole. I'm just going to draw a straight line. So I'm going to measure what we have left. That was supposed to be 4.5 inch. We're going to add 1/2 inch for seam allowance. Now I've removed 1.5 inch, so I'll have about 3 inches left for the shoulder measurement. And my shoulder measurement is supposed to be 16. So I'm going to, when you divide 16 by 2, you have 8 inches. Now when you remove 3 inches from the 8 inches, you have 5 inches. So I just measured 5 inches on the shoulder. Then I'm using my curve ruler to give it the armhole, the slight curve, like so. So I'm just going to trace, the center front, just exactly what we have on the bust area to the other side. And I've connected the bust measurement to the waist measurement. Next, I'm going to give the hem. I like to slant mine a little bit. I like the effect that it gives, so you can do the same. I'm just going to cut it out. I'm cutting out the armhole. Okay, so I've actually used my chalk to draw the bust on the other side. I'm just going to connect it all the way with whatever is left to the hem. Then I'm going to cut it out. So don't forget your shoulder slope. I always come down by 1 inch. And I'll use my ruler to connect it. Cut it out. Okay, so the front part is ready. This is what we have. Look at what it looks like. You're just going to join it together like so. Now I'm just sewing the machine, as you can see. Okay, so this is the front that we cut out already. So we're going to start from the hem to sew upwards. For those of you that said you don't know how to sew your princess darts, or you start from the hem, you can use a pin to hold it together. Like I said, pins are important. If you're a beginner, you don't want to have to adjust later. Don't forget to always lock your stitch. Okay, next I'm going to connect the other side. I already held it together with a pin. You can see what it looks like. The bust pocket is already visible. I took out my pin and I'm just going to give it a stitch, but make sure that the waist is properly joined together to the other piece, and the bust part that is all properly joined together before stitching. Okay, so now I'm done. This is what it looks like. Wow, you can see the bust pocket is visible, and our flare is also very, very visible. I hope you can see. Let me turn it around. You see that? So I'm just going to put this together like so. You use your chalk to reshape. Yes, I'm just going to cut it out, the excess. Nice, you can see how it looks now. And also, I'm going to fold and cut out the neckline. So I'm going to be using about 4 inches and about 6 inches deep. So for the width, I use 4, and then for the length 6 inches. So I'm going to connect it to the curve, and then I'm going to cut it out. Can you see what it looks like? So that is how I achieved 6 pieces flared blouse. That's how I achieved my 6 pieces flared blouse. And it's really beautiful. I love the outcome. Try yours out, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.